I'm Carrie, and this is Student Loan Chit-Chat. Today is Sunday, August 6th. All right, so desperate times are starting to call for desperate measures as student loan borrowers get nearer and nearer to the beginning of their repayment after 3 years. Now, quick checklist, okay? You must contact your student loan provider before your payment starts. Failure to do so, especially if you are on PSLF, which is Public Service Loan Forgiveness, and or you are on the income-based, which I'm assuming that a whole lot of people are. Failure to contact your student loan provider means you may be taken off of the PSLF program and or taken off of the income-based program because they do not have current data for you. That data includes things like your employer verification form, okay? Some people have not been in touch with their loan provider for 3 years, and in cases like if you were with FedLoan, that's no longer FedLoan, that's now MOHELA, so your student loan provider that you had may have changed. It is really important you find out who your current federal student loan provider is. FedLoan no longer exists, so you are definitely with MOHELA, M-O-H-E-L-A, okay? So if you have not done that yet, do so. If you have not submitted a employer verification form, the one that shows that yes, I've been with this employer working a full-time job for the last 3 years, I guarantee you they're going to want that, okay? Failure to have those forms in means your so-called, let's just say $300 a month payment could balloon to $800-900 a month, because you have not submitted the necessary paperwork. I can tell you the telephone lines are long. I think hold time is a good hour. I've even read a couple times it could be up to an hour and a half. I can tell you for PSLF, don't even bother calling them, okay? I would wait right this minute. What you need to do is get your employer verification form in, okay? You need to get that in, as well as submit your tax returns for each of the years that, well, since you've last submitted it. For many people, they've not submitted tax returns for 2020, 21, 22, 23. You need to get those in. I can't stress this enough, okay? You will be, it's not if, you will be removed from the income-based repayment plan. You will be removed from Public Service Loan Forgiveness, the 10-year, 120 payments. You will be removed from those programs if you miss those dates. Do not wait for the student loan people to call you up to give you that friendly reminder. They couldn't care less, okay? It's up to you to get that in, and you should be able to upload it online. I really don't like to do things by mail because there's no date and documentation. Everything should be uploadable online through your current whoever your current student loan carrier is, and get that stuff uploaded and do it now. All right, with that said, this episode, so to speak, today really focuses on two parts. First is the predatory lending practices that I believe we're going to start seeing that you must be careful with, and the second has to do with the people who are wanting co-signers on their student loans. Like I said, desperate times call for desperate measures. So let's start with the first one, and that is there are reports coming out that private student loan companies are desperately seeking out federal student loan borrowers. Why? Well, it's really simple. It's because they want your debt. They want you to move your debt from federal to private. Now then, well, this message is for everybody with a federal student loan. I really want to hit it the hardest with those under Public Service Loan Forgiveness. Again, well, this message is for everybody. If you are on PSLF and you are not that familiar with how PSLF works, I need you to hear me out, okay? PSLF, Public Service Loan Forgiveness, that says basically if you work 10 years in a public service job, okay, you can apply to have your loans forgiven tax-free. So like in my case, my 110K student loan was forgiven after 16 years of teaching, not 10, okay, but that's another story. But it was forgiven August 2022, okay? If you are on PSLF, I can pretty much assure you that at some point, and even if you're not on it, okay, but I'm really directing this to PSLF, you are going to get offers solicitations, or is it unsolicited, okay? You're going to get unsolicited offers in the mail that some of them may sound very official. Some of them sound like they're going to do you this huge favor, and that is move your federal loans to private. Now, I've discussed this before on this channel, but I'm discussing it now more than ever because we've had 3 years of no student loan payments. People are having to readjust their financial budget to accommodate these student loans. And not everybody is looking at a $100 or $200 a month payment. We have people looking at $400, $500, $600, $800, $900 a month payments. The private lenders know this, and what's coming out in some reports is that private lenders are enticing, so to speak, federal lenders, okay, federal student loan borrowers with, hey, come transfer your federal loan to the private loan because we can give you a better rate. Now, I want to stop right here and make sure, especially for student loan borrowers who are not really familiar, because these are the people most likely to get into this, what is it? This trap, okay? This Venus fly trap, all right? One way in, no way out. There is a lot of temptation when you get these offers in the mail. First off, they're going to make the offers look very official, okay? Your federal student loan can now be conveniently transferred to a private loan. And in fact, we may not even require that you start paying your loans right now like that mean federal government wants you to do. We're going to hold off your loans until January. Heck, maybe we'll even hold it off till January 2024, okay? We'll give you a really good teaser rate. You know, we will entice you with a 2% rate for the next 2 years, or better yet, maybe we'll even just give you 0% for the next year. I cannot beg you enough, do not fall for this. It is my belief that the worst federal student loan program you could be on is way better than the best private student loan program. Let me repeat, the worst federal student loan program is better than the best private student loan program. Why? Because under a private student loan, if you are PSLF, meaning public service of any sort, okay? I guarantee you, when you transfer from federal to private, what you are doing, and the private lenders will not tell you this, you are giving up all future opportunity and rights, officially, legally, whatnot, okay, to any hope of future PSLF down the road. Let me repeat this. If you fall for one of those teasers that says, hey, take your federal loan, shift it over to our company, which is private, and we can give you a better rate than what your federal loan borrower is giving you. We can make promises that federal government has basically messed you over on, okay? Transfer it to our private company. Sally Mae, that's one we're a lot of people are familiar with, right? The problem is, especially if you are on PSLF, Public Service Loan Forgiveness, you, by transferring it over, are in essence, you have just, no, not in essence, what you've done is you've just given up all the rights of what you've accumulated in PSLF now and in the future. If you are on a federal student loan program and you transfer it to private, and this goes for everybody, not just PSLF, you give up all future opportunities that may come down the road later for possible forgiveness, in part, in full, part tax-free forgiveness, whatever. You give that all up to do what? In my opinion, to go to a loan shark. Yeah, I think the federal government's a loan shark, but I think private is even worse. The other thing about private loans you must remember, you have a higher likelihood of a private loan going into double digits as far as interest rate than you have a federal loan. I want to make really, really clear that I understand, because I've been there, okay? You've got people who are desperately trying to find ways to lower their student loan balance. They're trying to, actually, let's not even worry about the balance right this moment. They're just trying to keep their head above water in lowering their monthly payment. It can be very, very enticing. Kind of like, what is that movie? I mean, all fairy tales pretty much have it, but I think it's Snow White. I think it's Snow, or maybe Sleeping Beauty. Well, one of them that has the apple and the witch comes on. They all got some sort of fruit and a witch, okay? I think it's Sleeping Beauty, okay? The apple and the witch comes along and gives her a really shiny apple, okay? And tells her to take a bite out of it, all right? That's what federal student loan borrowers are, in my opinion. They're the witch that comes along, gives you a really shiny apple, and you open up that letter and they make it sound so official, almost like you have to do it, almost like the federal government has endorsed it, approved it. And so you call and you go, oh yes, I would love to get rid of my student loan or Parent Plus. This counts for Parent Plus too, okay? That's a federal program, okay? I would love to transfer my Parent Plus, my private student, my federal student loan over. Yes, because right now my federal student loan is at 6.7%, and you're gonna give me a 2-year interest rate at 2%. I'll go ahead and transfer. What you have just done is you have literally compromised, especially if you are on PSLF, any opportunity that may come along in the future. And once you have transferred your federal to private, there is no taking it back. There is no, oh my goodness, I was 6 months away from PSLF. I thought I'd save me a few dollars by transferring it. Once it's gone, it's gone. And another thing you have to be very careful of with these sneaky private lenders is they will make it sound like this is all on the up and up and that they're really handling a federal loan, okay? I had a situation once where somebody actually asked me if this lending company was private or federal, and here's my rule on how you find out. You don't ask. Don't ask the wolf whether or not he really takes good care of the sheep, okay? So asking this telemarketer, this solicitation company, do you handle federal loans? Well, they're going to say, well, yes, we handle federal loans. Well, of course they do. They handle it, taking it from the federal loan to a private loan and kind of screw you over in the end. No, that's not who you ask. You called your federal student loan and you asked them, is this company affiliated with you guys under the federal program, or is this a private loan program? That's the first thing you do, okay? Don't sign away your federal student loan. Yes, the interest rate may be higher than the teaser rate, but let's keep the word in mind that this is called teaser rate, which means once they've got you, once you've bitten that shiny red apple, okay, there's no going back. So don't do it. And there are stories coming out where people are literally transferring their loan balances. They're consolidating it. They're transferring it over to their credit union, their bank, whatever, okay, if it's not handling a federal loan. And it's only after the fact that they've moved it to a private loan, like Sally Mae, all right? It's only after they've moved it over to a private lender, then the person, especially PSLF, goes, I had no idea that I was giving up my PSLF rights. Yes, you are. You're giving up what you've earned, and you're giving up any future earnings and future opportunities. And again, it doesn't matter if it's PSLF, if you're just, an everyday student loan borrower with the federal program, if you're on Parent Plus. Keep it federal at all costs. That is my personal opinion after having federal student loans for almost 2 decades. All right? Next, as we go into student loan repayment, I want to talk about, just slipped to my mind. I want to talk about cosigning. I don't cosign for anybody. And it's not because I'm mean, okay? It's really not. It's not because I'm greedy. It's not because I'm selfish. It's because, in my opinion, I am more financially powerful, not just for myself, but towards others, if my income can be left for me to adjust on a month-to-month, as-needed basis. There may be some temptation with those of you that have student loans and you're trying to consolidate them. Okay, you're trying to consolidate them and get them into one, and in order to do that consolidation, one of the requirements may be, well, a bank or a lending institution will take it, but you have to have a cosigner. I want you to think twice about asking somebody to cosign on your student loan. Okay, because what you are potentially doing is you're asking somebody, and you'd be surprised, it's not always a parent that's doing this. Friends have co-signed on friends, okay? People who are just casually dating have co-signed, okay, onto other people's debt. But what you're really asking someone to do is you're asking someone to take on a risk that you yourself cannot take on alone. This is my belief with co-signing. The only person that should ever co-sign on a student loan is a parent to a child. That's it. This is my personal belief. I'm sure there'll be people who think otherwise. I don't think dating partners should co-sign for each other. I don't think live-in partners should co-sign on each other's student loan, okay? And I'm talking specifically student loans. Yeah, and I would extend it to other things like, big ticket items, all right? But since this is the student loan channel, we're going to focus strictly on student loans. But when it comes to co-signing on student loans, and there are horror stories out there of friends who have co-signed on friends' student loans. Here's the thing. If you are thinking, you're not the student now, you're the person with the really good credit that somebody has come to you and asked you to co-sign on their loan. And yes, this really does happen. I want you to consider this, and this is why I don't co-sign. I have more power to assist you if I do not have my budget dictated by a student loan company or some other lender. Okay? In other words, if I know when let's say I'm in sales or whatever, okay, but let's just use my situation as a teacher, okay? My income drops a little bit in the summer because we're not in school, and it raises a little bit more in the winter when I'm in school teaching, all right? But this, let's say $300 a month difference can be a really big difference. If I were to co-sign for someone, okay, this includes a friend, a sibling, whatever, what I am doing as the person with the good credit and somebody's asking me to put my name on a piece of paper, what I'm doing is I'm giving up my ability to be able to dictate my budget. And being able to dictate my budget actually makes me more useful. Okay, it makes me more financially powerful in helping somebody because I don't give up that control of the budget. If you are being asked, as students are trying desperately, and I know people are, they're trying desperately to get their financial budget in order, they're trying to consolidate their loans, you may be approached by somebody, a best friend, and asked, would you co-sign so I could get this loan consolidated? Here is my thing. If I don't have money sitting in a checking account or savings account or wherever, then I could just write a check off. Boom, I could just write a check, pay the entire bill the minute the person missed a payment. I could just pay it off. If I don't have that type of ability, I don't co-sign. I don't co-sign. Now, let's say, my nephew came to me and he goes, Aunt Carrie, I'd like to know if you could, note to my nephew, don't get any ideas here, I love you, okay? But let's say my nephew were to come to me. My nephew's awesome. He's nearly 30 at this point. But let's say he were to come to me and he were to say, Auntie Carrie, I need help co-signing a cell phone. Okay, so I'd sit and I'd look and I would see, okay, how much is the phone? Do I have the ability to just write it off? Okay, in other words, he was to miss one payment. Could I write off $700 for that iPhone immediately without it hurting me and without it breaking our relationship, okay, or me holding a grudge? If I know I could do that, I might say, okay, there's a small area I could co-sign on and I can follow it, I can see the bill, all right? But when you're talking tens of thousands of dollars, we're not talking $400, $500, $600, $700. We're not talking an iPhone here, okay? We're talking you're co-signing on someone's lease at $1,800 a month. We're talking you're co-signing on somebody's car at $20,000. You're co-signing on a student loan at $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. You are more powerful not being a co-signer. Now, some people will say, but that means they can't get the loan. Well, here's something I've learned. Then it's probably not a loan you should be taking out. If the loan really requires you, okay, to have a co-signer, and those are typically private student loans. And by the time somebody's hit a private student loan, you have to remember it's usually because they've exhausted all their federal loans. So you're telling me this school is so expensive that you've exhausted all your federal loans and now you're forced to go into private student loans to finish it. You really ought to consider a different school if you are headed in that direction. especially if you're going into public service work. All right, if you have exhausted all your federal loans, all your scholarships, you've exhausted going to in-state school, and you still need a private loan to get that bachelor's degree, to get that master's degree, then that is too much degree. You can't afford it. And asking somebody else to co-sign so you can't afford it is a recipe of disaster for both of you. So it's something to think about. It was just an article that I read, about co-signing student loans. The only people that should co-sign a student loan to me is a direct parent. Okay, direct parent to child. And that's only if the parent can afford it. I don't think parents are under any obligation morally or anything else to sign it. If they can afford it, yes, absolutely I would co-sign for my kid if I had the assets to pay it off and I could afford it, and it would not put me in financial jeopardy either for my retirement, the roof over my head, or the needs of the other kids and a spouse, okay? Aside from that, all those things factored and all those things fine, all right? I could say, yeah, a parent co-signing for a child. But even then, I would have to ask, by the time you get to a co-signer, it's typically for private loans. This means you've exhausted the federal. Something to think about, okay? That might be too much school. All right. Anyways, that's the chit-chat for today. So, I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. I thank you for joining me. I do hope you will consider subscribing and have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye.